How's it going, everyone? Thank you for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and watch to the end of the video to stay up to date on your stimulus checks. Today we are talking about the second stimulus check update and unemployment benefits that may come from a new bill. It might be some time before the winner of the election will be named and the next president of the United States will be chosen. This may affect whether or not a second stimulus check will be sent out sooner or later. If Trump wins, then we will see progress on a second stimulus check go much quicker now that the Democrats won't have any reason to delay the bill anymore. If Biden wins, we will still see progress on the second stimulus check since the House will be more than happy to pass a bill if their candidate wins. Either way, a second stimulus check should be passed in November. The main reason the second stimulus check hasn't been passed already is because thanks to the election, both sides are able to use it as a political strategy to make the other party look bad. Pinning blames on each other back and forth in an attempt to make the other party look like they are hurting the American people. Some are saying that if Trump loses, he will not pass another bill out of spite or anger of losing. This we will have to see after the election results. If Trump wants to leave on a good note and if he truly cares about the people, then he will pass a stimulus check no matter what. If Biden wins, he says he will get stimulus checks out to people almost every month if they need to, but only if the pandemic is bad enough to lock down the country again, which by the way will make us lose even more jobs and hurt the country even more, all while not helping stop the virus. If Trump wins, we should see a check pass shortly after the election once Congress comes back. We can be seeing three possible ways for the second check to come this November. Once again, there are going to be three ways we could see a second stimulus check after the elections if you have not seen my other recent videos. Sorry for those who have already heard this. The first way is if the Republicans keep control of the Senate like they have been. Mitch McConnell currently has the power with the Senate. Both sides have been under extreme public pressure to pass the next stimulus bill, which might contain a second stimulus check. If McConnell properly arranges his Senate after the election, then we could see a bill being passed. If not, then negotiations will continue into the new administration. McConnell said on Friday that he expects a package right at the beginning of the year. Unless the pressure overwhelms Congress, then the bill might have to be forced to pass, unless Trump wins the elections, as he said he would get out a second stimulus check faster as soon as he wins. Second is if Democrats win the election this year, an enormous stimulus bill would likely pass in late January as Biden was promising, just following Inauguration Day. If Democrats know they can provide the large-scale aid bill they want in January, it would make little sense for them to push a bill through the Republican-controlled Senate, which would only benefit Trump further. The last possible way is going to be in mid-November, only if no stimulus bill has been passed, as we know both sides generally agree on another round of stimulus checks and extended federal unemployment benefits. Thus, it would not be surprising if the second stimulus check and unemployment or both end up being tucked into the upcoming funding bill that will prevent government shutdown on December 11th. McConnell's wish that the White House to not actually agree to terms of the stimulus package before Election Day seems to have been honored. On Thursday, Pelosi sent a letter to Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin claiming that did not respond to compromise language on a number of topics relating to COVID-19 response and health insurance coverage, and indicating continued disagreements on a half-dozen separate funding topics. Mnuchin was miffed to read the letter in the media, and turn the blame right back at her all-or-none approach. Right now they seem to not be caring about the people and using the stimulus check and the pandemic as a political game. Congress has left Washington recently and will not be back until about November 9th. So despite record numbers of new cases and the threat of fresh winter economic restrictions hitting the economy and the people's wallets, while lawmakers may not send relief before the election, Pelosi still signaled to Mnuchin that she wants to continue discussions after the election. Here are the last conversions made before the election took off this week. Mind you, this is somewhat old news, but it is all we have to work with right now until the election is over. Your responses are critical for our negotiations to continue, Pelosi was saying. The president's words that, after the election, we will get the best stimulus package you have ever seen, only have meaning if he can get Mitch McConnell to take his hand off the pause button and get the Senate Republican chairman moving toward agreement with their House counterparts. Pelosi also says she is optimistic a deal can be reached before the election despite continuing stalemate. Mnuchin responded to Pelosi, saying she sent the letter to my office at midnight and simultaneously released it to the press. I can unfortunately only conclude that it was a political stunt. Mnuchin wrote that he has dedicated endless hours to trying to reach a compromise, but argued the Democrat has not made the same effort to find common ground. He said that, contrary to Pelosi's comments, the White House did accept Democrats' proposal on COVID-19 testing and offered reasonable compromise positions on the range of other topics Pelosi highlighted. Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, who have not agreed on much related to the virus response in recent months, differed again Friday when asked about when stimulus could pass. McConnell told Hugh Hewitt that he expects to handle relief right at the beginning of the year, with legislation targeted particularly at small businesses that are struggling and hospitals that are now dealing with a second wave of the coronavirus. At the same time, President Trump pushed for even more rapid passage of stimulus than the top Senate Republican and Democrat did. Speaking to reporters Friday, Trump claimed, "We will have a tremendous stimulus package immediately after the election. If this is true, then everything we have been covering so far has been for nothing, or at least it has been a game to try and lower Trump's chances of winning the election." All of these mixed messages follow a day of tense correspondence between Pelosi and the Trump administration as the sides struggle to break a long, month-lasting impasse over the stimulus bill. The chances of passing a bipartisan deal that will work with the Republican-held Senate and Democratic-controlled House remains uncertain. With two different sides that have different ideals and so-called agendas, to be able to pass a bill that will give the winning side the upper hand is unlikely. Pelosi said she expects Congress certainly will have something done at the start of the new presidency. And, "We don't want to have to wait that long, because people have needs." The winner of the presidential election will get inaugurated on January 20th, and Pelosi said she believes Joe Biden will take the oath of office that day. Basically, she is not passing a stimulus bill to try and hinder Trump's chances of winning. By believing Biden will win, she is using the lives of the American people as a political stunt. Progress toward a relief deal ground to a halt in recent weeks as Republicans and Democrats differ over how much money they need to inject into efforts to slow record new infections in the U.S. and boost a sluggish economy. Despite this impasse, negotiators have acknowledged they will need to send aid in some form eventually. But of course, not before the elections are over. While Pelosi is widely expected to lead a Democratic majority in the House next year, the Senate and White House both could change hands after Tuesday's election. Congress has failed to pass new relief funds for months despite a lingering economic crisis that has left millions unemployed and scrambling to cover bills. New cases on Thursday hit another U.S. record, 88,521, raising the specter of fresh restrictions to limit the spread. Despite a third-quarter economic rebound to the tune of a record 33.1% annual GDP increase, economic growth is still 3.5% below its level at the end of 2019 before the virus hit the U.S. Once cordial relations between Pelosi and Steven Mnuchin appeared to grow more bitter this week. On Thursday, the Democrats sent the Treasury Secretary a letter saying the White House has not given her expected responses about a range of lingering relief issues. They include state and local government aid, a national testing strategy, unemployment insurance, liability protections for businesses and tax credits for families. Mnuchin in turn accused Pelosi of pulling a political stunt after what he called a long effort to find common ground and offer reasonable compromise positions on the topics she mentioned. Pelosi downplayed any personal tension between her and Mnuchin on Friday. "It doesn't matter what our relationship is, it matters what the truth is. And the truth is that this administration has failed miserably in responding to this virus," she said. Pelosi told reporters Thursday that the CARES Act relief bill passed earlier this year deserves credit for injecting resources into the economy. But she added that, if we don't pass a recovery bill, a COVID-19 bill, we will face dire circumstances, as well. She said she still hopes to strike a stimulus agreement before the winners of next week's presidential and congressional elections take office in January. McConnell on Monday responded to criticism that Republicans rushed to confirm Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett before the election without passing coronavirus aid. He said that, "We have been working on coronavirus relief. While Congress fails to send more aid to Americans, polls show voters broadly want additional relief as millions still struggle to make ends meet during the downturn." A University of Texas Dallas poll taken over 2 weeks this month found 42% of voters nationally consider coronavirus stimulus their top legislative priority. Unfortunately, the Speaker has not been able to agree to anything remotely reasonable. "We can do two things at once, and we were trying to do two things at once," he said. The election outcome could shape whether negotiators can or even want to reach a stimulus deal in the months before the next president and Congress take office. Thank you for tuning in today. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and I will be seeing you next time.